Welcome, everybody, to the Crypt Files, your once weekly follow-up podcast to the hit, the in at the end, actual play TTRPG. Let's go, we play podcast. And in the last week, we finally made it to Teller's Call. And Teller's Call, the sacred place of rest and protection that we've learned about so long ago.
I know it's not my storyline, but I've been excited to get here.
Yeah,
no, it's been really fun. I love that Alex has kind of like expanded it. And he didn't just get to go and talk to his mom like right away.
Yeah.
There's these like extra quests we have to do.
I felt kind of silly because you're playing a game, and the first time I talked to her, and he's like, "Yeah, you just feel it going into the forest around you," and I was like, "Well, fuck, I don't know what else to do, so I guess I'll just And I was like, "Well, she's not here, so I'll just
peace out.
Do the thing you do at cemeteries," and you're like, "All right, well, anyway, I hope I'm doing it the way you want."
Yeah, you're respectful enough in case anyone's watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, spend enough time.
Little Tree was such a cool,
I did
bro.
really like that.
I love Little Tree.
I mean, that's what Little Tree ended up being, was just like, let's, you turn around at your mom. No, it's not. It's just some guy.
Yeah.
And then like he's there to explain kind of like there's a hiccup.
He's like the old groundkeeper.
The lore drop.
Yeah.
He's the old groundskeeper.
He like hit my heart so hard. He's just like, it feels good to help people. It's like, oh yeah, like that's what life is about, man.
To watch him.
I know, and I really liked when he was like,
out.
he was like, "Wow, you said some really nice things." I was like,
yeah.
I can say nice things for you too, bro.
Something that I noticed during this session was that how we've all kind of had like our thing with our parents, right? And I like that from what I'm envisioning is that like the climactic thing back in Quilton is going to be, for Simon with his parents back home.
Reuniting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how it'll wrap all of our individual story. It's like in games when you complete all the companions
It really
quest lines.
I was thinking earlier, it really feels like a BioWare like script. Mass Effect or KOTOR
Each
or
one
whatever.
got to go resolve your shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And we decided this playthrough to leave Simon's until the end.
Yeah.
But next time, maybe we leave
that's the one
Ace's
that
until
makes
the end.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
But I love that.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
It's great. It's fantastic.
I'm very much imagining, sailing away from here is going to be akin to that moment where, like, are you sure you want to continue?
Yeah.
You can't save after this.
Right.
Yeah, this is
the
like there's
beginning
no
of the
more.
end game.
Yeah, this is the credits roll after this.
Right.
Yeah, so finish up all your side quests.
So
Brighton will be kind of the let's see what you can do to make a plan to get to Quilton, and then it's what happens.
is Brighton's not in that chaotic place? Is it that
Maelstrom?
Yeah, the Maelstrom.
Oh.
No, so Brighton is the town just next to Quilton. It's the town that like is traded with, and
I was gonna say, I feel
during
like
the
I
quiet
remember
year,
the name.
there was like a shrine that was set up.
Okay,
a Maloran shrine.
Yep.
So it's that trade town.
Okay.
That's next to Quilton.
They're even worse than Alistair.
Are we thinking that we're gonna go to the Maelstrom place, or are we?
I was thinking when he presented it as a place we could go, I was like, let's go and fucking make our own bargains.
Yeah, there's kind of
seems-
something I kind of want to go to the Maelstrom, but I also feel like we don't have to.
I feel
Yeah.
like we have a clear idea of where we need to go.
I can't. Yeah, exactly. To me, it feels almost like a red herring. But then there's the video game aspect of it where I'm like, well, why wouldn't I go and see for
It's
myself?
the spot where you take 2 steps in, you're insta killed, and you're like,
And you're
okay,
like, never mind.
I need to level up a bit more.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like the idea of that though.
I like the idea of the Maelstrom because like we kind of know, if you've read any of Alex's lore about Haven, that there's like important godly type shit that happens there.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's just go and fucking talk to the gods ourselves. Why are we letting them dictate? Everybody else is dictating this.
Yeah.
They got their gods. They got the fucking storm and shit. Like, let's go get our own shit and then come back to Quilt.
I loved running into the mist. Oh my god.
That was really charming.
Yeah.
That was really
So
charming.
cute.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to see that again.
Yeah,
because
the voice was the thing. It was like, we know this fucking guy.
Milo, the fact that you remembered that we had little
Yeah,
Insignias.
I kept
Right,
4 of
right.
the little insignias, and I'm
That-
like, dude, I got these.
that's huge. That was
I
huge.
thought we put one on the boat, like in the statue.
Oh.
of
I think I
Liberty.
had like 5 or 6.
I feel like-
Yeah, I remember
I
you had
grabbed a
one.
lot
Yeah,
of them, and I like handed
For
them out to all
navigation.
kinds
Well,
of
that's
people.
Yeah.
that's where you got the mast for Brooch's boat.
Yes.
The
was that
statue.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what it
The
was.
Melora
Also,
statue.
Yeah.
That was blindfolded with oily rags.
Yeah, exactly.
I know the first note I have when I was trying to go back and see about the creeping mist, see what his name was. Actually, the first note that I have is took the mask off of the Melora.
It was great running into him, though.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
That made my heart happy. It's like, oh, here's this character that we ran into like when we were children.
And here's the thing is I had plans of you guys meeting like the Mist so long ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
Yeah. Well, you were about to go into the
because
woods and
that's what I was gonna say was
Yeah.
that I felt like there was this whole part like we closed off to ourselves
Yeah.
because we put ourselves in jail. We were literally gonna go on this quest, then literally fought the guards. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I wonder if we were ever gonna get to do that and talk to the creeping mist.
That
and
would have been nice.
Figure out what
we
that
had
was.
to do that, years later or a year
Would have
later.
been nice.
But it's cool that these characters from throughout the campaign are coming kind of full circle again.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
I always
assembling
love
our
that.
dream
Like,
team.
yeah, and like Coconut Bill and Levi and you mentioned Ghoul.
Yeah,
So we
the
might
callbacks
see
are dope.
Ghoul again. And
ramping
yeah,
up.
I put together a whole backstory about Ghoul's old crew. So I could be like, here's everyone that was in the crew.
He's
Here's
one
why
of the
they
knights.
left, and here's like the one of
So
the
the
old
spy-
party members.
because I was wondering, the spy from Kuningrick, is that someone that we know?
No, the spy from Kunigrick is
Just a
tangential to this
okay.
whole thing.
But
That's like a
they're-
major warring kingdom in Haven.
Yeah.
That would be very interested
We're
in knowing
from
where all these
Kuningrick.
weapons are coming from.
Or
No.
I mean, our other character. The
Yeah.
other game was in Kuningrick as
Yeah.
well.
No, Arthur was.
Arthur
Yeah.
was
Arthur's
from
family was
Kuningrick.
from Kuningrick, but then went
Yeah.
to
To Usama.
Quaelinia.
They were rich.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Cut me some slack.
Kuningrick is very much that, like king and queen nobility trying to take over all the lands that they can.
Yeah,
Like that's the vibe of that nation.
exactly.
And so in essence they're at war with all these other places in Haven, and they're being supplied from both sides
Nice.
by the Drescues.
Oh,
That's what in essence that's what that journal is
Okay.
going over.
They're
And
like
so
the Starks.
they need they need the proof for it.
Iron
Yeah.
Man because
And-
they sold.
Oh, and when you
Javier
give that
is
shit to Levi,
another
he's
part
going to
of
be like, "Oh, all the connections
That's
are
like the
made."
Yeah,
smoke.
because
That's
he's
the
been
smoke.
going around.
Yeah.
He's been going around asking questions.
And
He's
this is
in essence
this is
he's
the
hoping
thing that
he
proves
can
it.
convince them.
Yeah.
That he can talk enough that he can convince
He's
them.
got
This
a
is the
room.
thing that proves it.
If he
though.
has the book,
He's got a room with
Unneeded.
like red yarn,
oh, for sure,
like on a wall, going.
Yeah.
What
with one big empty spot, and it's that
the
journal.
Sarutha
Sarutha?
Sarutha 10.
Saru Tim.
Ace's new mom.
That's a cool character.
Thank you.
yeah.
Sarutha Ten.
That's all.
Yeah. That was just Sarutha Ten was a way for me to be able to explain what the call was pretty easily. And it's this place where at the end of the last calming, everyone kind of left the lighthouse and they ended up here and then went elsewhere.
That's cool. It's it's like a not culty death cult,
You guys notice
Yeah.
how
Yes.
and I like that. That's
how,
cool.
how often we go to a place and there's like a woman in charge?
Happens
That's
a
us.
lot.
You know,
I haven't
like half
noticed,
the
right? It's
time.
not a big
We're
deal
a
to
really
me.
woke podcast.
It's not a big deal. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It just
the
makes sense.
5 straight white men doing very woke.
James
Also,
Bond?
we have beards.
Thanks for making my joke. That's what I was saying, everybody.
I this is something I've always been thinking in the background, and this is to Alex. Like, let's say that we play in your world again in like the next campaign.
Obviously, we will.
And like, are these gonna be like changes that are gonna be like definitive? Like,
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna
Yeah,
erase
yeah.
them all.
affect
This shit
future.
exists in Alex's
It's like an
world.
Etch-a-Sketch where you're just gonna
Yeah.
shake it and
No.
go back
and
to
it's a new world like every time.
The way I know Alex's world, like all of this shit happens for real. Like even when I bring in
That's
characters
the fun of doing it.
that are like not related at all, he's still like, well, that fucking changes some shit in my world.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing is, stuff might change Haven forever based
Well,
on
think
this
about
campaign.
it.
And if it does, it goes that way, and that's in your guys' hands. Like
Think
I'm
about it.
going to
Wolf is
create
out
kind
there.
of the pathways you can take, but yeah, no, I'm happy to have you guys play in Haven and
Cool.
change it.
Create Haven
I
or so.
Yeah.
love it.
Wolf is out there.
Wolf is out
Scory's
there.
out there.
Yeah.
Ball is out
Cian?
there.
I gotta talk about Ace, man. Ace is, oh my god, his mother thing.
It's wearing out, huh?
It's so tough. Like I don't want to do it anymore.
It's like the poop jokes for Val, you know?
It's your lot in life, man.
It's
You
like,
got to do it now.
He just loves moms, and he just wants to have so many moms everywhere.
He just
Maybe-
needs to have one
sounds-
good relationship.
Maybe
with a
you
female,
could pivot it
with a woman.
from, instead of calling every older matriarchal type character mom,
That's what he's looking for.
you could just treat them with reverence.
No, their
and
mom.
ask their permission constantly.
No, their mom.
Because then that
Yeah,
But
is-
let
Ruth the
them
Temp isn't
decide
even
that.
a mom.
She's
You know what?
she's
She
doesn't have
Ace's
kids.
mom.
You know what
She's
Ace
Ace's
needs?
mom.
A good cult where the leader's called Mom.
Ace would
Yeah.
do
There we go.
so good in a cult. Ace
We
would
should
be
turn
like
Ace onto
the
some Taylor
perfect.
Swift.
Yeah.
He would be the
Ooh,
total
yeah.
Swiftie.
You could start your own cult called Mom, called Moms of Matriarchy.
Moms of matriarchy.
with
Heck
leather
yeah.
jackets.
I was thinking like we just find a good mother god type character or like
Drink some silver
Yeah,
colloidal,
you drink your
whatever.
colloidal
whatever.
silver.
Ooh, yeah.
get
Turn
some
your-
rosé.
Turn your skin blue.
Yeah.
Definitely going to meet
Pay for
with
her
Levi
gaming apps.
again. Like that was one of those things where it's like I don't want to fucking do this, like in my mind. And it was like Ace would not want to fucking see his dad. Like
Yeah.
what is an excuse I can come up with where Ace can leave? I do want Ace to go and talk to his dad
Yeah.
before we leave to Brighton. He just didn't want to do it with everybody else around.
Okay.
Like that was
I was gonna
something-
say because you saying Ace didn't want to talk to his dad. I was gonna say, well, it kind of sounds like he does.
He really does. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
this part of him that he's been reconciling like all of his issues that he has with his family and stuff, and he's coming to the conclusion that it's not really his family that was the problem. It was the dress cues that kind of manipulated everything and
yeah.
made it so his family had to be the bad guy in the,
The
situation.
marionette.
And he really like metagame. Like he really does want to go talk to Levi again
Of course.
and kind of begin to rebuild that relationship. But there was just something like I can't do it now.
Like I also really liked the touch in the moment when you were like, how does he look? You know, like
Yeah.
Does he look?
Is he
okay?
healthy? Is
Has he been eating?
Yeah, he's been staying at a resort.
Yeah, he's
Like-
been hanging out with.
He's
trying
been
to,
doing
you
better
know,
than
yeah.
us.
Yeah,
He's been hanging out with Coconut Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been fine.
He's stressing out a little bit, but he's been doing good.
something kind of personal. Like talking about all of these like family members dying and stuff. Like my grandma recently passed away. Share that on the podcast. Her favorite color was orange,
Oh.
and
nice.
having
You made a
the
noise.
orange lilies.
having the orange lilies on the fucking. Oh, that fucking, it hit my heart. And
Yeah.
it was
love
like,
that.
oh my God, that's my grandma. We got to go get her flowers. It was like, holy shit.
love that.
It struck me and I loved it. And thank you.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm
crazy.
sure you didn't know, but it was,
No.
it was something that internally I was like, oh my God, orange lilies.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah.
Was your
it-
grandma's
it-
name Lily?
It definitely made me think of her. No, her name was Dorothy.
Oh, Dorothy. That's
With
right.
an EY.
Did they call her
she
like
was not an
Dottie
OY.
for short? Did they
No.
call her Dottie? No. Okay. I tried. Dorothy.
But
I
yeah,
love
it
that.
definitely struck my heart.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, everyone's companion story has been, how do I deal with the issues with my mom? How do I,
and my grandma was one of my moms, and Ace being like the character that has all of these issues with mothers, it would definitely hit and struck my heart in a way that I think is more impactful than anyone actually knows.
That's really cool.
Want to hear
D&D is something else, I tell you.
It really is. Your grandma actually grew the egg that you grew into.
Yeah,
seriously.
When
like eggs all the way down.
yeah,
like
there's just so many eggs.
Because when your mom was growing,
the eggs were already in there.
Your grandma was growing your mom's eggs.
Yeah,
And then I was the egg that egged the egg.
it sounds like a joke, but it's science.
I think
like,
it's one of the
real.
strongest, like one of the strongest reasonings for like why I think the patriarchal thing is like so backwards. I'm like, women are growing 2 generations at a time.
Yeah.
Back off, boys.
Anyway,
Yeah.
D&D is this really weird thing where it tends to mesh with your reality and your life in ways that other people may not even know that exist.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with me today, and I enjoyed it.
Heck yeah.
Hopefully the
That's great.
people will listen to the script files and be like, oh, he's putting it all out there in the game.
Yeah. This was a great session for all of that type of stuff, and I think it was really nice to begin to weave the circle in, to bring in the things from the beginning, and
It's certainly feeling like
It helps it. But yeah.
very close to everything's kind of wrapping up,
Yeah.
and it feels everything is feeling final, and it feels like like not like you're happy to be done with it, but you're like, oh, this is this will be a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
Because
you can see a goal. You can see like
there's a clear like. It's not like, oh man, I wish we could have done like some other more stuff or whatever. But like, feel like we've done a lot with these characters.
yeah.
Like, just obviously just progressing through levels, but emotionally and character wise, it's really cool.
Fucking weird campaign that we've had.
yeah, it's been. And one of the things too is I've been. Well, I'm not sure if like my mom or whatever is responsible, but like obviously. One of the interesting driving factors of Ben is this like second life aspect, and I'm like attributing it to Melora, and then a couple sessions ago they're like, no, that wasn't Melora, and then I'm finding out that like my mom makes bargains.
I was wondering about how you,
that's been some big. That was big drops for these past episodes.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you felt about like the actual visceral feeling of a memory as opposed to just having like the data.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That
Like,
was cool.
Is there any sort of conflict in Ben? Like, does that stir anything, or is it just?
I think
it
it's
is what
like
it
one
is?
of those things that it's like, oh, this is your life. It's one of the things I don't play up that often, but it was one of the more interesting ideas when I was drawing up like what I thought Ben was going to be. The beginning was this idea that it's like, it became way too difficult. Like after a session or two to be like, I'm not Ben, It's just like I'm surrounded by my friends. Like this is a good,
you
this is
are
a shoe
Ben.
that
It feels
fits.
like it's like software partitioned from hardware.
Yeah.
And I feel like this tree encounter was kind of like
now
a
you're
bridge
getting
between
that
the two.
that
Yeah.
DLC that makes it so. Oh yeah, this is what I actually am.
I think it was like, just like a real like biological sort of like reminder is like, no, this is who you are. And I think I like the idea that like that Ben, because one of the things that Ben can do, if you see me like when I'm re-rolling those d6s, like the idea, the flavor in the game is that you're tapping into other memories of like whatever. And so I like this idea that perhaps there's like been other lives or whatever trapped inside the husk when I'm coming back up, and like Ben just happened to be obviously like if my mom's making deals with her, I don't know, but so there's this fun dichotomy of like, yeah, well, like Ben died and like I'm still here, but like
Almost like a DID thing
DID
or identity disorder.
Oh yeah, maybe, and so it's like the shoe fits, so I've been wearing it and it's comfortable and it's cozy, and you guys are my friends, and like Quilton means a lot, and I like the idea of saving Quilton, but then
you're
like
not really.
yeah, it's like, but then that memory, those memories,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
Yeah.
a memory worth saving.
Yeah.
This memory of like warmth and comfort, and
These are
family.
why this person is here.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I got to honor that too, so it's just a fun little bit to that. I really, really like that touch.
Shit gets so deep, man.
I have a question for everyone. I know we're about ready to wrap up, but do you want to play this character longer in this world and see like a new story arc, or do you want to start a new character? Like, do you want this? Do you want to see what Ben is capable of at level 17, or are you happy with kind of where we're at?
Both. Like I never want the game to end. I always want to get to level 20. But at the same time, like it feels like a real natural progression, which is like you don't often get those in Dungeons and Dragons. And
I feel like this is the first time I feel like I want to see where these people go.
Interesting. And maybe you can't. I think for Ben, it's like. Again, I think I have this lucky thing that I landed on in the beginning, which is like the Ben died, and like this is a character who feels like he has a very natural progression. And if that comes to an end in Quilton, then I think I'll be happy with it. But also, I have a lot of fun playing Ben.
Yeah.
So, it might be fun to see where it goes. But
I really love that question because that's something. It sparked the idea of a lot of my characters that I've had, and most of them don't make it like to higher levels.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like most of my characters, like in a like level 5, level 6, maybe level 8 if they're really lucky, and they settle in to life in that zone.
Yeah,
and I can't think of a character that I've ever had that I could imagine getting to like that level 20 status. Like that, where they're basically a god. Like, I can't think of a single character that I've ever played in like fucking 20 years of playing D&D where I could imagine them being a deity.
I think Ren probably tried.
Ren would have tried, for sure.
But I get what you're saying.
He would have topped out.
Yeah.
He didn't have the social skills for it. But it's interesting to think about. Ace definitely will never get there. Like I feel like Ace is topping out right now. Like
redlining.
When Ace gets back home, he's like, I'm just gonna hang out with what's her name? Ghoul. Yeah, he's just gonna hang out with Ghoul, and he's gonna take over the tavern, and he's gonna be happy with that. And that's like the rest of his life. He's gonna have some kids, and
with Ghoul,
maybe.
What about you, Dad?
Yeah, I love making new characters. I really love it, and I know. I mean, if Valen makes it and I don't like die or whatever, but I kind of have a conclusion in mind for what I think Valen's going to go do afterwards. I think he has
that idea kind of makes you content with his story.
Yeah, I think I know what he's going to go and try and do after this. Yeah. So, I'm content with where he is.
Yeah.
It's hard.
My most loved like character that I ever played, like Alex, the character Grumblethor. Like he hit level, I think it was 8. It wasn't even no. We got to level 12. We got
post level 10.
We were Paragon paths, and I just felt like he had reached his peak.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, like no, he would just go home and he would want to have a tavern and have a family and
well, I think that's
like raise kids. Like that was his goal. He didn't have the desire to become a deity. Like that's not in his wheelhouse.
I think that's one of the strengths too of what we've done for this campaign in general is that like all of our characters have very strong roots to a place, to people. Mm-hmm. And not only that, it's like this is also the first character that I've played that, maybe not exactly, but where I didn't feel like fighting and adventuring was like their job or like their career path. It's like, like Ben, honestly,
never have a character like that.
I think of Ben as a quilter. I really do. Like, and it's just
you were pulled into this.
We've been set on this path, and there's like things that I need to do, and I like to be able to like put these spirits to rest and do all this. And rectifying the wrong in Quilton Bay feels like a real natural like extension of that.
Sure.
But it really it feels as though like violence and adventuring is not in his future necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, it's like go back to quilting or go back to helping out the spirits.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine Ball like getting to that level where he's trying to become a deity. Like he's just gonna continue to try to find knowledge. Like he's not
Well,
gonna.
I feel like
he could get to level 20 and
I feel
not
like
have enough.
becoming a deity isn't necessarily something that you strive to do. Like sometimes you're chosen, or like you're just living your life and it's presented to you. So
I feel
speaking
like,
from experience. So, but also like with this particular group of characters that we have, I feel like we've seen them at their youngest, and I want to see them at their oldest.
I can see
Like,
that.
You want to know?
like-
you want to know what those prologues are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We've got
for
the
sure.
prologue. I want the epilogue now. And
yeah.
And like, but at the same time, like what Dash said, creating characters is like one of the most fun
Well,
kind of
Oh,
itch
yeah.
scratching
and you know what?
things.
It would almost be a fun exercise if we, let's say, just for the sake of conversation, that the campaign does come to an end in Quilton, which it feels like it might. But let's say it does. It could be a fun exercise to say, close the curtains and do it like they do in It, where it's like 33 years later or
what
whatever.
happens?
Yeah.
What would a campaign look like for us 33 years from now or whatever? Would we still be the same
Geriatric
people?
adventurers.
I mean,
Duroc was
that's a
313
that's a
years
great way to continue the adventure is to do one shots with the characters.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
down the road, like
Yeah.
what's happening in the future.
And-
Going and kind of actually piggybacking off that, and then off a question I asked you earlier, like how would you ever have one of our characters as an NPC that we meet?
That's
Or
always
is that
something I try-
a
Ben
tricky
feels
road
like
because
the
you're like
most
feels like a
natural
tricky
one.
road.
because I don't want to take you because I would say
You don't
this.
wanna step on
I think
them.
if you took over Valent, I would be fine with that.
Arthur has already been an NPC.
Yeah, no,
And I feel like-
I've had many characters
As
that
like-
have come back as NPCs.
Yeah, as like
I feel like-
cameos,
always
kind of thing, you know,
appreciated
little quick ones as like a nod, because it's I've listened to other DMs talk about this a lot. Of like, you don't want them to take the spotlight in a new campaign. You don't
Right.
want these old characters to take the spotlight, and that's what I think it can easily become if you bring back too many or
Sure.
too often.
I just mean as like a quest giver or
Oh, yeah,
just
that-
like
that
a,
kind of
like
stuff,
a
those-
one-off. They've got some information kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't mean
Absolutely.
And I feel like
can
Alex
you play
of all,
our
yeah, I feel
characters
like
later?
Alex of all DMs would be able to like.
He handles
Do
the
it.
cameos
I
really
mean,
well.
my-
You know what
Even
I mean?
like VHS.
Like
was,
I would
fun
trust
to
my
have.
character
VHS, yeah.
with you.
My
Yeah.
my
is what I'm saying.
character, like Grumblethor, has shown up in one of our campaigns.
Yeah, Grumbledore was the same. Same with the
Yeah,
He was in the
Arthur
Battle of the
campaign.
Bands, right?
the Battle of the Band.
He was
Yeah.
an actual character that existed in the world, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
VHS.
I remember that because I
Keeps
clocked
popping
it
up.
and I go, oh, that's cool. So then our characters could still live
They
on.
exist
with
in
this.
the world,
I think
regardless of our
I was on the
play.
fence with having Scory be somewhere in the Portastone.
Yeah,
And I
that
just
would
I
be
never
cool.
quite
Right.
figured out where to do it.
I was thinking Scory would be a really cool one to run into out there, but
I mean,
Yeah.
We
like,
gotta-
if I was a listener, I would fucking love that shit.
We gotta find.
And as a player, I love it.
we
when
gotta
shit
find
happens.
VHS and make sure he knows that shit's about to go down in Quilton.
Yeah, we gotta.
I
pick
mean,
up
I know he
VHS
hunts
for sure.
vampires, but
There's vampires.
Just tell them they're vampires.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
you can suck their blood.
Look,
You'll love
vampire.
it just as much.
you gotta get their juice.
It's the same juice.
Gotta get their
Save loves
juice.
that juice.
I just think it's so funny that he called it juice after I did a whole one-off.
No,
with
it's
Dash's
blood.
thing. We did the whole one-off with Dash's thing where Gator was like my little mouse was always talking about
yeah.
juice. I don't know.
got
why
that juice.
Yeah, that shit just made me laugh so hard.
Good stuff.
All right.
This is
well,
a really long.
it happens every time.
Yeah.
All right. This has been Crypt Files. Thanks for listening. Go to dndpodcast.org to get your fill. Grab your sword and keep on adventuring.